So again, I welcome you all. I wish to say a special welcome to my dear brother, Principal of San Fernando, Shahid Alaham. Welcome, brother. We are very pleased to have you, and also Brother Rashid from St. Joseph, and all the other principals and teachers who are here. We are very, very pleased that you all are able to make it. So we're going to talk a bit about education. Our four presenters, on the stage are from Trinidad, but some of the brothers and sisters from the other countries could share their experiences in the discussion part. So I would now invite Brother Kalim Ali, former principal of the Warrenville TIA School, and very much involved in Islamic work in Trinidad. So I invite Brother Kalim Ali to address us first.
Assalamu alaikum, and thank you very much, Brother Nasser. Okay, I am here to report very briefly on my experiences as a teacher, as a principal in Dean Norman National School in Trinidad and Tobago. It's a public school. I don't know if you all are aware, but in Trinidad we have this system whereby the various religious bodies can run their own schools with a curriculum from the Ministry of Education, and they write the exam from CXC, the Caribbean Examinations Council. Now, when I went to the Warrenville TIA School, my vision was to have an environment that was totally Islamic. I remember once I had even requested that, children come to the school, they should not bring in their lunch boxes food stuff that was forbidden by Allah. And I'd even told my board about it, that I want this environment to be totally Islamic. Now, let me backtrack a bit. The philosophy of our education in Trinidad and Tobago is that of to preserve and promote democratic principles. There was another underlying philosophy, that of providing resources, human resources, for the various jobs that we have in Trinidad and in the region. Nowhere in the curriculum does it state or does it have a place for God. Nowhere in the curriculum does it have a place for God as an underlying philosophy. So my task then was to ensure that whatever that was done in the school had God as its form in front. So I decided to take the bulls by the horn. Monday morning, I would set the tone for the rest of the school by taking that Monday morning assembly. And invariably, in fact, all the time, I would use passages from the Quran to do the pep talk for the children for the rest of the week. In the primary school, the examinable subjects would be language arts, mathematics, and essay writing, or they call it creative writing. My task was to ensure that Islam and the name of Allah was resounding in the school throughout the day. That was a difficult task. It was made simple or easier because all the teachers were Muslim teachers. But very often, because teachers are not trained to think Islamically throughout the day, this is why one of the first things this body has to do is to have a training program for teachers, to show teachers, to teach teachers how to inculcate Islamic values and principles in all subject areas. So if you are doing mathematics, the child must be able to link that, okay, I need to be able to multiply and add and divide and subtract, do my calculations so that I can work my zakat properly. When I remember simple interest was one of the component parts of the mathematics curriculum of syllabus. We had to ensure when the teachers are teaching, they will just teach. I remember when I was doing it right in TML here, we were taught how to calculate simple interest. But never did they tell us that, the riba, the interest is haram. The teachers today, the Muslim teachers, are supposed now to tell children, this is how you calculate interest. When you go to the bank and you put $10 and they give you $15, you can calculate how much interest you have gotten. And they have to be told that, this thing is haram. It has to be done throughout, and when the child is standing up, the angle formed in prayer as he is standing up, they should be able to recognize that the angles formed is a straight angle. When in the ruku position, they could be able to figure out or estimate what angle, what degree is formed. So it can be integrated, but it takes training. In the social studies aspect of the curriculum, it best lends itself to Islamic values. Remember, there's a hadith, my sheikh is here, my imam is here, he always tells us this one, the best thing that a parent can teach a child is good character. The Rasul had this amazing ability to say a small thing, but it was so profound. Your character is really all the things you say and do. All the things that you say and do. And everything you say and do will have some value. Some value. What is the ethics involved in the things that you are doing? That is why it is so critical when you are teaching like kindness and compassion and the ability to share. All these things are components of the social studies syllabus. However, do we ever stop to say, this is what our Rasul lived? We don't say that part of it when we are teaching the children. We don't. Unfortunately, if we have trained teachers who are able to pick these things up and pass it on to the children, they will realize, no, they may have it, as we heard this morning, theoretically. They will tell you that it is good to share, it is good to be kind, it's good to be, not to be greedy. But the practicing of it, that is why the teachers are supposed to reward children when they practice these virtues and these values. The essay writing, we have so much to do with regards to the essay writing, with regards to the history of Islam and so on. They can write an essay on Abu Bakr or Omar. They can do the research on the caliphs. They can do descriptions of heaven and hell. And they can get the resource material from the Quran itself. So the area is wide from which they can get these things. And we tried at the school to try to inculcate these values and these practices in the children. We were able to, we had this half an hour period between 11 to half 11 where, and somebody said it was pigeonholed, the religious aspect was pigeonholed into the syllabus, 11 to half 11. So in that period, what we used to do was to teach the children the so-called formal aspects of the faith, how to pray, how to fast. We went there, when I went there, the children used to go to the nearby masjid over the road. And in the first day I took the children, I realized that this thing wasn't going to work because the khutbah that the imam was delivering, the khatib was delivering, was in no way relevant to the children. So I approached him and I got my board to agree that we should have the Jummah in the school. So we started Jummah in the school, and that went a tremendously long way into shaping the kind of children I wanted to, emerge from the school. By the time I left there, alhamdulillah, I had trained some of the children to actually be delivering the khutbahs when I was not able to have been there. So, yes, the children, all this Zohar Salah that we used to pray, I used to be praying behind the children. I would call the children into the office and I would let them recite this prayer, the entire prayer, for me aloud. So when I knew a child was able to perform the prayer properly, the children would have been able to lead the prayer. In fact, somebody even told me all my prayer would have been null and void because I was praying behind small children. I said, I leave it in the hands of Allah. So on Fridays then, we were allowed to give the Jummah, and we didn't have a place to pray. We had a shed, and the place was hard and rough. And for about 2 or 3 years, we used to pray in that, and I wanted to pay public tribute to the cleaners and the janitors of the school at that time, who would have to be spreading these sheets on the ground, on the hard ground, where we could, in order for us to perform the salah. But by the time we left, we had inculcated the facts of praying, the thing of praying for the children. And also, by the time I left there, the school API rating had gone to the realm of excellence, 462 when I left there. The API rating, I suppose our sister Shireen will tell you how they reached that. And let me just say, when I went there at the beginning, the Rahmah of Allah was not on the school because I took 3 weeks before I got a first year class of 21 children. When I left there, the school was overflowing. Aqulu qawli hadha astaghfirullah lakum. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Brother Kalim, and I now invite Dr. Shireen Khan, a mathematics educator, lecturer at UTT, former teacher for many years, and also a member of the TML school boards. Sister Shireen.
Assalamu alaikum. As a mathematics educator, I firmly believe that a good student of mathematics is a good citizen, because mathematics is a subject that teaches us to think. It's not so much about computation or about spatial awareness, but it is about rational thinking and decision making. So I think that if our students were to learn mathematics in the way it is supposed to be taught, then we would have less problems in the society. It is the closest, I think, to truth. I'll start by just going through the mathematics performance of students in the Caribbean, and then I would look at some international data on math performance, and then I would finally give some solutions as to how we can improve the math performance in a country. So I'll start by some history here. Well, we all know, those of us who are over 55 would have written the Cambridge GCE examinations. We did not have regional examinations before 1979, and therefore, this exam was catering really to the top 20% of any population. And we didn't even have universal secondary education. So in our days, when you passed common entrance, you were among about, I remember in my days, it was 5,000 passed out of 30,000 students who wrote. So you had an elite group going into secondary school. You were writing a subject in which there was less than 20% chance of you passing. I think that in those days there was about 10% passes. And some of my friends did not do mathematics because it was not compulsory. I remember we had to choose between math and geography. Well, I was too happy because I never liked my geography teacher. So when you think of access to mathematics historically, it was a very narrow access. There were very few persons graduating from secondary school going on to do further studies in mathematics. And thanks to the denominational schools, we were able to to get our students into secondary schools because the government had not expanded secondary education. There was no universal secondary education until the early 70s. So with the dawn of the national and regional exams, which is the CXC in 1979, we started to look at our CXC performance. So I'll take the next slide. Now, in the first few years of CXC, and those of you who know who were in those days, the exam was completely different from what it was today. It was a much harder exam. It was a very thorough exam. And the pass rate was the same as Cambridge, so it sort of maintained the status quo in that there was just like about 10 or 15% passes. So I don't have the data from 1979, but having been involved in CXC since then, I know the pass rate was pretty low. And then we started to change a little bit in terms of the syllabus, and we actually moved up between 1991 to 1996. We had 2 levels of exams. There was the basic and the general. I don't know how many of you remember that, but the basic was really functional mathematics. It was a very good syllabus. It was geared to people who would go into non-mathematical fields, and then we had the general level. So we had 2 levels, and our pass rate was just like around 20-something% in those cases, in those years. Then CXC changed to a new grading system. They expanded the cut scores so that a grade 3 would be employable. Employers were only taking grades 1 and 2 at first, and then they started to take grades 3, but this means that the pass rate went slightly up a little bit, and it reached almost 40% in that era. Then there was the third era, which is more recent. We saw mathematics passes jumping to 57% one year, and that was rather unusual. And then it dropped back down in the last year to 40-something%. So we don't know what this year would look like. So we are close to a 50% pass rate in mathematics. And given that we have universal secondary education, that looks on paper to be good. But what really caused the improved performance? Is it that the students were getting brighter? I can tell you it's not so. It was the curriculum was being whittled down. And we have been trying to meander the exams so that it's a political thing. We all know that when you are in the exam business, you have to account for why there are so many failures. So in 2012, we had an uproar in the math community in the Caribbean, in the newspapers in Jamaica, Trinidad, Barbados. Everybody was commenting on only 30-something% of the students are passing mathematics. Something has to be done. There was a pressure put on the examining committee, but when the examining committee spoke, everybody got quiet because we told them things that were done at the primary level, like perimeter and so on, were measuring the length of a line, which was tested at the secondary level, that students were not performing well on basic math skills. So to go any lower would really be now to compromise the whole exam. So we had that problem persisting, and I don't know if you could read this. This is a little extract from a student in one of our national tests, and you could see the frustration of students with mathematics, because what he said is, if I could find a man who made mathematics, I would kill him and his family too. And he actually drew a sword piercing through her head. And the man is saying, the wife is saying to the man, honey, you should not have. Meaning you should not have gone into mathematics. So, but we get letters, it's interesting, from CXC every year from students who are struggling with mathematics. And some of them tell us their whole life story. And it is always one factor that is really impacting on their performance, the teacher factor. No matter what, a good mathematics teacher, if you put 2 twins in 2 different environments, one with a good teacher and one with a poor teacher, the one with a good teacher will spurt and go to very high, and the one with the poor teacher will remain or even get worse. So we have a problem in mathematics performance, not only in the Caribbean, but internationally. So now we're looking at the international performance in mathematics by the OECD, which is I don't know if some of you have heard about the PISA, which is an international test in mathematics. There are other international tests, but I'll focus on this one because PISA is now used as a benchmark to judge countries in terms of their potential for economic growth. And it is done in and now it's reached 72 countries. However, only 2 Caribbean countries are involved in PISA. Our country, Trinidad and Tobago, and only recently the Dominican, but they only came in recently. But we have done it twice already. We did it in 2012, and now we did it in 2015. Now, our performance in 2012 when compared to 2015 was no change in math, but we moved up a little bit in science and in reading. However, these are the top performing countries on the left, and you can see, now I was looking for some Muslim countries here. I mean, we all know the Arab contribution to mathematics, and you would think that, you know, some of the Muslim countries would be high up, but, what's that? Yes. So you can see some Muslim countries, but look at their ranks, okay? Singapore is on top, right? So this first set is the top performing countries, the first 20 or so. The mean is 490. And you could see USA is in red there. They are below the international mean, right? And our country, Trinidad and Tobago, is also below the international mean at 400 and, could you see there? So, right. So we are below the international mean. And the Dominican Republic is really way below the national mean. Now, it is not a cheap thing to get involved in an international test. That is why some of our sister Caribbean islands have not gotten involved in it. But it's good to get to benchmark your country to see where you stand internationally. So this is the world ranking of all of mathematics performance. Next one. Well, if we do not have people qualifying to do advanced and further mathematics, then what we have is a sort of a society in which we will be deprived of certain professions. As you can see, you know, even maths teachers, statisticians, now we need a lot of software engineers, and all of these are areas that we need people pretty well skilled in, and therefore we need to do something about improving math performance in a country. It has been linked to the economic growth of a country too. Okay, next one. What the research by PISA and the international tests has shown is there are some indicators of high-performing countries, right? And these are some of the indicators which we could take note if we want to improve math performance. High qualified teachers, right? Well recruited, good curriculum design and following modern reform efforts, effective initial training and continuous training of teachers, appraisal system for teachers, social, cultural, and institutional factors. And that is where I would think political factors come in as well, because one of the problems, I went to IDB conference yesterday, and they were saying that even though we have equity in some countries, it is disguised because we don't have opportunities for the lower levels and the higher levels, inclusion in these countries. That more money spent does not mean better results, but you know, like you will hear the laptop initiative. We focus on technology, but we're not focusing on learning. So these are some of the things that we need to look at, and time. Politicians have a shelf life, so sometimes they're not investing time in making their innovations work. So the Singapore model is one of the models that all countries are looking at, and these are some of the areas in which the countries are trying to sort of pattern their systems on the Singapore model. Their teaching of mathematics is strong on thinking skills, visual learning, problem solving, and they are actually doing very well because of these initiatives. So to close off, the solution to improve performance, not just in mathematics, but in everything, is really a combination of many, many things. Leadership, I think, is most important, not just at the classroom level where the teachers could identify the problems, at the school, the district, and of course the country level. Parents, and I was just hearing about the gentleman who talked about the parents and how the students were deprived of higher learning in their subjects. Remember, parents have a responsibility, because when we die, we have to say, well, we have to answer to Allah for our talents. And if the parents are depriving students of going on to higher learning, they have to answer to that, because if you are given a talent, you're supposed to use it to help the world in that sense. So professional development, in Singapore, they spend half of their time teaching and half of their time learning. And this is a model that we don't see in other countries. We teach, and test, but we don't have enough professional development. And of course, the curriculum must be research-driven, based on evidence data. I know my time is up, so I thank you.
Thank you very much, Sister Shireen. And I now invite to the microphone Sheikh Munaf, Imam of the Karani Masjid, graduate of the Islamic University of Medina, and he also teaches Arabic at the Center for Language Learning at UB St. Augustine. Sheikh Munaf.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wassalatu wassalam ala rasulih Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in wa ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. When Sister Shireen spoke to me a couple days ago, she told me that she would like for me to just talk a little bit about my experience in teaching Arabic at different venues here in Trinidad and Tobago. So if I am not within the topic that is mentioned in your handout, you will understand that I am here only to talk about my experience in teaching Arabic in Trinidad and Tobago. So like every other thing, there are always challenges. And challenges, one of the greatest challenges in teaching Arabic in this community is to teach Arabic in an environment in which Arabic is not spoken. But regardless of that great challenge, I feel very proud to say that I have many of my students who can speak, read, write, and listen to Arabic. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. I have been teaching Arabic for the past 30 years or more, since I graduated in 1983 when I came to Trinidad. And I have taught Arabic at different levels. So, and my students are of also different ages, children, adults, and of course, each program is different. So I had lots of challenges, and I still do have a lot of challenge with regards to teaching the Arabic. Because students, especially the adults, they have different reasons or motives and objectives as to why they want to learn Arabic. And I see this very clearly, especially at the CLL, the Center for Language Learning at the University of the West Indies, when I will have my first session and I will ask the students why they are here to learn Arabic. And the students are Muslims as well as non-Muslims. And for the Muslims, most of them, they want to learn Arabic because they want to understand more of the Quran directly from the Arabic. And for the non-Muslims, they are there to learn Arabic because they are inclined to learn more about the Middle Eastern politics. I don't know how much the Arabic will help them in that aspect. But some people, they take it as a hobby. Others, they think it's a challenge because it is something very difficult. They perceive it to be something that is very difficult. And many other reasons why So sometimes I will have a class with a number of students with different aims and objectives, and it is sometimes a great challenge for me to teach the Arabic. And you're talking about teaching Arabic to people who have no idea of even the letters of the alphabet. But I feel very proud to say that in halfway down the course, that I'm able to achieve that students are able to read Arabic. In a few weeks, they're able to read Arabic. And I have developed such programs in teaching Arabic. And I've had a program right here at the TML some months ago. Right here, we had over 100 students participated in that program, in which I taught teaching Arabic, just to read Arabic, in only 4 sessions. And I feel very happy to know that I've been able to achieve that. And people have to understand that if you want to read the Quran, you cannot want to read the Quran through transliteration, because transliteration is really a distortion, and it also does not give you the correct pronunciation of the Arabic. So this is why it is very important for people to learn Arabic through that. But amongst the challenges is that there are other people who want to learn Arabic, and they send their children to learn Arabic because they want them to read the Quran. But if you assess the situation of the timings that these students, they go to learn Arabic, they will go after they have finished school for about 7 hours of school. When they go back home, then their parents will send them to the maktabs or the madrasas. Many students, they will come very late, and you give them some homework. Your time is very limited because they're only there for 1 hour, less than an hour. And the parents, they don't do their part. So you have a big challenge there. Sometimes I see my wife teaching children, and you look at their homework, they only get 1 word. Only 1 word to learn for a whole day. Just to learn one word. You know how that is? That is a very difficult thing to see a child only you're just teaching just 1 word. So parents also have a duty to perform with regards to that. So that is a challenge for a teacher if you have a child coming and parents are not doing their part. That is a great challenge. But if you look at the general picture of teaching Arabic, Arabic is really, it depends a lot on the person who is teaching the Arabic. Lots of people come to my classes, and they tell me that, they thought that Arabic was a very difficult language, and it's very difficult to read and also to speak. And at the end of my programs, my courses, they all, congratulate me because I make it fun-like. And I think that is very important. For example, when I teach Arabic, the first session I will have with adults is that I will say, okay, we're going to start with LMN. These 3 letters, not the Qaida Baghdadiya, that book that was written about 50 years ago. We're starting with the letters LMN. LMN, you know why? I will tell them. It's because it's my favorite movie channel. But then I say, no, it's not because of that. It is because LMN, the same sequence in the English language, is the same sequence in the Arabic. Lam, Mim, Noon. And then you look at the similarity in the shape of the letter Lam. It's a back to front L. And the letter Noon, we know it, the Noon, the convention, the Noon with a dot. But in shorthand, which is called the Ruq'a style, it is a capital N. And if you look at the letter Mim, it is like the word Muhammad if it is written in the Ruq'a style. So, it is, when you introduce the Arabic like in this, people learn fast. So in my experience also in teaching Arabic is that you have to let the students, feel comfortable. And when non-Muslims come, the first thing I write on the board is Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. I write it in Arabic. So my class will start out with explaining what is Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So the non-Muslims also getting some message of Islam. I will tell them a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says, "Kullu ma la yabda'u bihi bismillah fa huwa naqisun abtar mamhuq al-barakah anything that doesn't begin with the name of God, it is incomplete and it is devoid of blessings. So we put God first, we put Allah first, because as long as you have that, He directs you to make the right choices in life and so on. So we give some da'wah also in teaching the Arabic. All right, so my experience in teaching Arabic at the university is different from teaching Arabic on the outside, because at the university they learn the 4 basic skills: reading, writing, speaking, listening Arabic. In the masajid, what people are more concerned about is for their children, most of the time children, is for them only to learn to read Arabic so that they can read Quran. So from that, after the students finish learning that, they stop coming to the madrasas. All right, I don't really teach children at the madaris or the madrasas or the masjids. All right, but for adults, if they come to the masjid, they come to learn Arabic as a language. And we have been using the book that is taught in Medina, Durusun fi Lughat al-Arabiya, and we have been using this book for quite a while, but we came across another book which is a book that is used in more than 2,000 institutes worldwide, and it is called Al-Arabiya Bayna Yadayk. All right, and this book was done by about 3 doctors, and it is taught worldwide. That is what the marketing manager told me from Saudi Arabia. So this is the book that is used at the university, and I also try to use it at other places. All right? So my experience in teaching Arabic, there are lots of challenges, but there is also, hope that people could learn Arabic, because there are many graduates like myself in Trinidad, and they're willing to teach. They're willing to teach. But we have to also understand that many of us, when we study at these universities and we come back home, many of the Islamic institutions, they would not give the brothers that kind of employment to work in that field of their qualification. So many of the brothers who have studied abroad at these Islamic universities, when they come back, they have to seek employment in what they are qualified in. And that, all that they have learned for those years, they just have it there sitting and nothing is being done. Alhamdulillah, since I graduated, I have been employed by the Ministry of Islamic Affairs of Saudi Arabia, and I'm still employed by them. And I also have a business on my own, so I'm able to survive. But I speak on behalf of those brothers who have graduated and they don't have the employment in their field, and it is a very sad thing. And I urge the brothers from the various organizations that they should try to look into this matter and to help them. Inshallah, wa jazakumullah khairan. Shukran wa assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much, Sheikh Munaf. And our final presenter, Brother Farouk Khan, former principal, TML St. Joseph, and member, secretary of the TML School Board. Brother Farouk, please.
Alhamdulillah, Alameen, wa salatu wa salam ala Rasul al-Kareem. I begin by giving all praise to Almighty Allah and sending peace and blessing on noble servant Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. My dear respected invitees, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Well, one of the hats that I wear, I am the secretary of the TML School Board of Management. And I want to say that as a part of the organizing committee for this conference, I was asked to organize the attendance of all the schools, the Muslim schools, not only those that come under the umbrella of TML, but also the other boards. And for the benefit of the foreign delegates, we have 3 denominational boards that run schools in Trinidad. And one is the TML, under whose premises you are right now. And the others, the largest one is, first the TML has 3 primary schools and 2 kindergartens. The largest organization in Trinidad is the ASTRA. They have 7 primary schools, 7 secondary schools, and several kindergartens. I don't know the exact number. And the TIA, they have 5 primary schools. Now, in addition to the invitations that were sent out by the organizing committee, I myself, through personal contacts, sent invitation to these boards and teachers, but I cannot see a single face from, I don't know if anybody here, if I'm wrong, correct me, from Astra, anyone? Whether teacher or, right, okay. Teacher, right, okay. And from TIA, any? Oh yes, we have quite a few. I know TML in majority, but let's say the members of the school board of the TIA and Astra, I'm not seeing them, inshallah. Okay. First I want to say, in my 50 years involvement in teaching, 40 years in teaching, and about more than 10 years in retirement, I've seen the TML schools and also the Astra and TIA made tremendous strides in a lot of ways. I remember in the early days, well, not all the schools are adjacent to masjid, so many of the teachers didn't go to Jummah. I remember as a young teacher in one school, the principal had to roster the male teachers to go to Jummah, right? When the Jummah is compulsory for the males. I also remember in about late 1970s when a sister in our school wore hijab, and I think that was the first sister in all 3 Muslim boys to wear hijab. It caused a sensation, not only in our school, in all the schools. And somebody, I was away on study leave at that time, somebody say, they hear the teachers at TML, they had a tie, you had to come and teach, and it was said in a derogatory way. But if you look at the teachers who are present here, and at all the schools, I would think the majority of teachers, I would say at least 75% of the female teachers now wear hijab. At our interviews at recruiting teachers, I always ask a simple question. What is the position, that is to the female teachers of course, what is the position of the hijab as far as females are concerned? And everyone have answered that question correctly, but not everyone complies. But may Allah guide us, inshallah. Now to speak about some of the problems in education, let's say on a national scale, right? Some of the problems, not only to Muslim schools, that generally there's a failure of the education system in any part of the world. It's not addressing the needs, it's not fitting citizens to fill their role in societies. And the main problem for this, and I'm sure you'll agree, is a breakdown in family life and family values. And the curriculum people are reinforcing that. When they're telling us we must teach about this type of family, the single parent family, different types, and even some of the same-sex type of family which we would refuse to teach about. And they are reinforcing this breakdown in values by introducing certain family structures which we do not recognize. As far as performance in critical subjects, I want to say proudly that all the Muslim schools, you see this year, a student from the Astra school topped the island in the SCA, and we have had good results in all the Muslim schools, particularly the TML school, and the principal and some teachers of San Fernando here. Every year, San Fernando features in at least the first, second, and third, and several students in the first 10. And the St. Joseph School leads in this educational district, Central East, and our Liverpool School leads in the southeastern counties. So we do not have a problem in delivering, let's say, the secular system to our students. There may be some deficiencies from time to time, but our teachers, with the backing of our school board, we address this all the time. Now also, the high performance of the TML schools could be seen as both a challenge and an opportunity. Because after many years of high performance, parents of Muslim children, whether they belong to Astra, TIA, or unattached boards, and even parents of non-Muslim children, they will flock the TML schools for admission, whereby the principals have a very hard task. In some cases in San Fernando, over 1,000 applicants to choose 50, right? St. Joseph here, 200 or 300 applicants to choose 75. And this puts the principal in a position where he can choose from perhaps those of a higher economic standing or better family life, which would make things easier for him and for the school and for the teachers and have better results. But my personal view on that is sometimes some students who have as much high criteria as others, like living almost next door to the school, but they do not enjoy coming from a home of high economic standing. They may be bypassed. And that's a form of discrimination that I would like to see end in our schools. Now, as far as delivering the Islamic curriculum, we at the school board, I headed a committee that rewrote a syllabus for Islamic studies about 5-6 years ago. Now it was handed to the schools, and it's still in a draft stage because we intend to refine it one day, inshallah. At this time, we recognize that all the teachers didn't have the type of training to deliver such a curriculum. They have been provided with resources, and while the board itself has not taken the initiative to mount a program for teaching of teachers, or training of teachers rather, in teaching Islamic studies in Trinidad and Tobago, as Sheikh Munaf will tell you just now, in Arabic. There are many institutes, many courses that teachers can avail themselves, right? But perhaps curriculum matters are best handled by the school boards, and if we all could get together, we could probably find a solution to this. As Colin mentioned, the denominational schools, and I want to make this distinction for our foreign visitors. We have private-run Muslim schools where parents pay fees at all levels, even the Darul Uloom at the tertiary level, and they are free to design whatever type of curriculum they need for their students. We have the denominational schools, such as the one right on this compound, and there are 15 such primary schools in Trinidad and 7 secondary schools, and they have to follow a national curriculum, which would, in the first case, in the primary schools, lead them to the SCA, and the secondary schools to the CXC and the KEEP, and the secular subjects will be given preference there. On the other hand now, the denominational schools are granted every day a 30-minute period for religious instruction. What we do on Friday, on Monday to Thursday, that session is from 11 to 11:30. On Friday, it is combined with the Jummah, and they will go to Jummah from about 12:30 to about 1:15, so we get a little 15 minutes more. None of the supervisors have been taking issue with that. But what I want to tell you, sometimes some of the brothers who are giving the khutbah, they stretch it a little more, much to the annoyance of the principals and teachers, right? So brothers who give khutbahs here, stick to your 10 past, they stop your khutbah, and then the salah, so the teachers and students will get back on to their work, which we have to do, inshallah, right? In those 4 sessions, teachers sometimes can do anything they please, but they have a syllabus which recommends that on 2 days, they do teaching of Arabic. Now, the TML School Board have made it very easy, which is not the best thing. For the last few years, we have hired Qoris in the 3 schools to come in and assist with the Arabic. We realize most of it, we do not want the teaching of Quranic Arabic, especially Tajweed, to be done by some teachers who are not well trained. And whereas we recognize in some schools, there are 1 or 2 teachers who are quite well trained, it's a burden for them to go from class to class. So we have employed, and we have to pay a fee to these teachers who come in part-time. But ideally, we'd like to see the day when every teacher can take charge of that Quranic Arabic syllabus and teach it without having to pay someone coming from outside. Now, the other 2 days, teachers can teach other subjects of fiqh, performance of salah, stories of the Sahaba and the prophets. In the earlier days, we used to have a day for teaching of Islamic songs, but that is not priority right now, in our schools at least. And whatever sort of Islamic values, which Colin said should be inculcated in all the other subjects, will be reinforced during those sessions as well. Now, some of the challenges we have is first, some cultural hangovers. And you know what I'm speaking about. Most of the Muslims in Trinidad are of East Indian descent, and still there are elements of shirk, I would say, that was inherited by practices that came from our great-great-grandparents, and we try our best to eliminate that and to teach what is according to Quran and Sunnah. And this will cause a problem when children go at home and they are taught, Miss said so, or Sir said so. And the parents say, no, I say so because my father said so and my grandfather did this. Causes a problem. But I can tell you, I had no problem dealing with those problems when I was an administrator. I remember once a student wearing a tawiz or a tabiz, whatever you call it. I tell him that's not part of the school uniform. Leave that at home. Parents didn't like that, but he couldn't come to school with that, right? There are also, as we live in a country mainly of majority non-Muslims, and those of you know Trinidad, there's a lot of cultural events that go on here, and a lot of these events are very much far removed from Islamic practices. We talk about carnival and all sorts of festivals, and what happens is that creates a problem. And some of these cultural events are in the syllabus, especially the social studies element. And of course, as Muslim teachers, we cannot ignore it. Like when it comes to Diwali or to Halloween, and we have to teach children or tell them about it. We have trained our teachers to just tell them the sort of historical and what goes on, the origin, but to say that Islam doesn't recognize it. And not to teach it to a level where you leave impressions on the child. I remember once at Halloween, some teachers had the class, the children making Halloween masks. I had to put a stop to that, you know. When you do certain things with your hands, like art, it remains an indelible impression on a child's mind, going home thinking that Halloween is something which is not more than another devil worship. So we have had our challenges both from within and outside. With good leadership, we have trained our teachers to know what to select, what to emphasize on, and what to bypass, and what to just go in a nominal way. And we hope, inshallah, that with more training and more guidance from Almighty Allah, the day will come when the Muslim school will be truly Islamic school. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much, Farouk. And I would now invite questions. We have a little over half an hour for the salah, so we would be able to entertain some questions and comments from members of the audience. So please, we have a microphone here. If you would like to come up, or we have portable mic, but if you wish to stay where you are.
When about our society. And I wanted to ask you, you know, if you come up with opposition from parents, from PTA, from Ministry of Social, etc. Why do they want to advocate? There are serious challenges with respect to that. With respect to tertiary and mostly dealt with the secondary level, but right now we are seeing the mathematics, some environmental topics being eliminated like transportation, geometry, all areas of still this is something children face in everyday life. And see even fractions with online denominator in 4 rules now being dropped from the syllabus. I want to know what's the rationale for that. With respect to I understand that there are serious challenges similar to what you came out here with respect to teaching Arabic in the school, and I want to compliment what Brother Carl said, that in here we are employing specialist teachers to teach Arabic within the school system. And he also mentioned, and I want to compliment him also, that the recruitment process, some measure of Islam should be tested before hiring some of those teachers, because some of them have been very big and they know basic Islam and unable to implement it in the syllabus. And I also commend the RP syllabus. I know that it was all sent on my PML, but I have a copy on my desk. And try what we see, and we try to not abide by it, is that they depend on the specialist teachers for implementing the Arabic in the school or the religious knowledge. And it's something that we are trying to, get the teachers involved themselves out of the hours with the specialist teachers. And you also made mention, of the section of the academic performance with respect to the kind of students that we recruit, and challenging so many applicants for high-performance schools, and nevertheless we try to balance it with respect to a percentage of Muslim children as against non-Muslims at San Fernando, the Angalangas, and of course it's the first school to get students in the top 3 consecutive years, 2015, 2016, and 2017.
Thank you very much, Brother Alaham, and congratulations to your school. You gave an analysis of all the speakers. So I would like to know if there are any general responses, because you cannot respond to all your comments. So I'll ask Brother Alaham a question.
Some directly truthful. Really what they call Kodak and conscience was explain this that we cannot, in all denominational schools, we cannot select only Muslims. We have to select first criteria is catchment area, the persons who live nearest to the school. I would say in the TML schools, some of we've been trying to favor admission of Muslims just so that they can get Islamic education. At St. Joseph, we have over 75% Muslims. session for the parents. We try to encourage it. And at least we tell them when they go to pray, they must properly that. But for the female teachers who are comfortable to us, right, and they know this is compulsory, and when they know something is compulsory, and they don't know their consequences, we as a board try to sort of reinforce it from time to time. And we'll see the day back soon when all female teachers will be properly done. Now, my sister Sherry will answer the question.
Okay, the main focus in the curriculum review is that anything that you teach a child in mathematics at the primary school, they must be able to understand it well. For instance, if you were to look at the multiplication or division of fractions, it's very easy for them to learn a procedure to do that. But if you give them a word problem on solving something in the real world fractions, they'll find it will have difficulty with it. So the idea is you could put area of the circle back, but you will have to learn procedures to that and their understanding of how the formula is derived. They may not be ready for that. So the whole idea is depth. And where we are falling in maths is in the process skills, in the thinking skills. So spend more time developing those things. The transformation was a too formal approach. However, they can do reflections and rotations, and they can do a lot of drawings and art and design, applying concepts of transformation geometry, but not necessarily using the formal language of transformation. So that's the emphasis now.
Thank you. Do we have any other comments? Yes.
Now, I have been a teacher in the government system for close to 40 years. Half of my career was at Muslim schools and the other half was at government schools. My concern here is this. Yes, we take care of our own in the Muslim schools to a certain extent by through our RI programs. And having taught at TML primary and another secondary school, I see this happening. My question is, what is happening to the majority of our students who go to non-Muslim schools? Are we taking care of them? No, I taught, as I said, at the government secondary school, and when I went there was no RI program as such, but it was left open to anybody from within the school or to come and do some classes during lunchtime. There's no timetable. When I went to this particular secondary school, there were Christian groups having their sessions during lunchtime. And after settling, after a term or two, I asked the principal if I can have a session, and she said no problem. So I established a little Islamic group. And later on, also established Juma Salah because the catchment area had a lot of Muslims who were leaving the school at lunchtime to go to the mosque and not returning. They were missing classes. So the principal asked me if I could establish a Juma Salah in the school. And I tried, and I got the assistance of many of the brothers, some of them who are here, and I got them for that. However, when I left, the program fell through. My concern is, what are we doing as Muslim organizations to reach out to our students out there? The vast majority of them are not going to Muslim schools. I live opposite a school, and I notice every Wednesday they have a RI program, and I hear clapping and singing. I try to observe if there is a Muslim person coming in, and there is none. So my point is this: as organizations, can we establish our presence in the non-Muslim schools and run an RI program, especially in the secondary schools, because that is where we begin to lose our students. And the onus is on us, the Muslim organizations, to reach out to our students in one way or another. Now, I know the schools will not object because they will be glad that we are there to instill moral values in our students. So, to the members of the TML